principality.
Hidden in the shadows of history lies a civilization shrouded in mystery. Some say it never existed. Others believe it was erased from our history books. A vast empire stretching across continents, the Tartaric Empire. Did it hold secrets of advanced technology, architecture, and knowledge long forgotten? From majestic cities buried beneath the sands, to the enigmatic structures that defy logic, what do we really know about our past? The more you dig, the stranger it gets. Lost cities, hidden technologies. It's like the past is trying to tell us something. This week, we delve into the forgotten world of the Tartaric Empire and the secrets of ancient civilizations. Were they more advanced than we ever imagined? Or is it all just a grand myth? Join us on this journey into the unknown, where history, legend, and conspiracy collide. Welcome to the past they don't want you to remember.
The smokers, that's what we call them. Now I was thinking about this the other day. Now they probably don't have like a smoker's corner. Did you guys have a smoker's corner?
In high school?
Yeah.
No.
They were like the potheads.
Yeah.
Dude, we had smokers corner, so you couldn't smoke on school grounds, so you'd have to walk to this
Go
little
to the
area.
baseball dugout.
And it was right by someone's house, and I remember thinking, they probably love that. Just like 25 high school kids smoking in their yard. But anyway, I think it's interesting that all these kids from the 90s now essentially could transport to right now and be like, nice outfit. That's exactly what I would wear.
Yeah.
I look like Adam Sandler when he was on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. We circle back. Well, I feel like when we were younger, like fashion repeated, but it was like every like 80 years or something like that. And now it's like repeating every like what?
It repeats all the
20
time.
years.
Yeah,
This is insane.
I mean, thank you for saying 20 years, but it's more like 30.
Yeah.
That was nice of you. It was nice of you to say 20, but yeah, it's like 30 years. And so, but yeah, it's get faster and faster. I think this like the Spotify things like that. My kids all listen to like the craziest collection of music.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we had to buy CDs, so we had to kind of pick a genre. Like I don't like country.
Yeah,
I only like this one. Really, that meant I only make $3.50 an hour, so I can only buy one CD.
Yeah.
This is like 3 hours of my life.
Yeah.
Just one CD. Now it's like, you have so much unlimited music, and it allows them just to be like, take everything they like from every generation just happens all at once, essentially.
Yeah. Love it.
So, yeah.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Connect the Dots. It's been a minute since we've been here, but we're happy to be back. We've got a fun topic.
We've gone through the valley of the shadow of death.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
it's
the past
called
few weeks.
summer, and then people getting sick, and then getting kids back to school.
I was like, school starting, and then that was it. They all brought it home.
I know. They all go to school, and they like all spit and drool all over each other, and then come back and like wipe it on us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just get sick. Yeah,
we
that
only
was,
knew.
That was terrible.
If we only knew the levels of contamination that we're dealing with.
If we could see the germs, like microscopic, that'd be terrifying.
Or it's like one of those old shows where they're like cheaters, but it's not cheaters. It's like disgusting slime that your kids put in your food that you didn't know about until after you ate it. And it's like you've already eaten it. Like here, they like show them.
Like
the
watch
video.
this. Yeah.
That'd actually be a good show. I should pitch that.
Yeah.
Bring it.
It'd be like,
nowadays,
what's that one, Monk?
Monk, yeah.
It'd be like Monk, but with kids poisoning each other.
Monk would die.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't rebooted
Monk?
or like a version of it.
I mean, they have. Yeah, it's true, because Psych's a little old now. Do they even have a quirky detective show now?
Like
They've
House,
had them throughout the year.
maybe, but
like
even
House,
that's like a
old.
like a germaphobe TV show.
You had Columbo.
Oh,
You're talking like
No, like recently. Like they remake everything. So
Yeah.
like the concept of like TV show Shooter, like they're just redoing the same like concept.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's interesting that they haven't like remade.
Everything just repeats over and over and over again.
It does repeat over and over
We're not,
again.
we've been doing so many videos and TV now as humanity that we've like pretty much touched all of the themes. So now it's like you can only remake stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool. Well, let's-
speaking of... I won't jump on you, start.
No. You're good, dude. Go for it.
Speaking of restarting and restarting, there was a little... If you want to pull up the picture of Putin.
Oh, yeah. Let me get it.
So back in 2017, so this is a picture of Putin, and then Mintimer, I'm not going to say that last name because I'll say it wrong, but Putin gives this guy a map, and on the map it has this huge area called Tartaria. And if you looked at it against like a map that we know of today, it's a lot of like Asia, but a ton of like Russian space. And so this kind of kick-started this map showing like, oh, Tartaria, what was that? And people started looking into it. And if you pull up, do you want to pull up this?
Yeah, I got it.
This picture. So this is the Russian coat of armor. And if you'll notice, it has a double-headed eagle like a lot of the things do. But underneath that white horse, it is stomping on what looks like a dragon. And then if you'll pull up this image here. So this image is the actual like coat of armor from the Tartarian Empire. So it looks like what we know of Russia today, they've kind of taken that old coat of arms and kind of stomped it out.
Yeah, because it's on like the red flag with the guy squishing it. Okay.
That's insane.
That is kind of crazy.
So you can see like, right, this old empire powerhouse gets taken down somehow, right? We don't know because there's not really any like history of that. So that was a map that you were just looking at a second ago.
Oh, let me go back to that.
From
Whoops.
William
There it is.
Blah. And this was done in 1620. And it was mapped out very clearly in the top right. That area is Tartaria.
That's incredible.
Which is like, where would that be like in today's, like that's like what, like Ukraine?
So that's like, Ukraine,
Uzbekistan,
Russia, and
Czechoslovakia.
towards the bottom there, a little bit of like Mongolia and China, kind of towards the bottom there. So it's this massive empire. And like map makers back then, like think how difficult that'd be to be a
They're
map
like, I'm just going to make up a map for no reason.
Right. So to be like a well-renowned map maker, like you have a history of doing things really well. And so
that's true.
William Blah was a very famous map maker. So this map that he made isn't like just like some random guy drew it and put it up. Like this is a real cartographer who made this. And people say like, well, where is Tartaria now? Like empires come and go. Well, what we think happened was Tartaria, huge empire, huge cataclysm, something happens, and a lot of their old buildings and things like that were kind of left around like the pyramids, right? Like we stumble upon the pyramids.
So the something bad happens, people die in the large amounts.
Yeah.
And there's just the infrastructure left.
Right. And so it kind of gets into the theory of the mud flood, where I don't have like a ton of stuff on the mud flood, but it's essentially that.
Is the mud flood and the Younger Dryas like the same event?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you basically have every like 22 to 2600 years, something happens on the earth or the Earth realm or the Earth plane, something happens
The globe.
that then
No, it's flat.
no, it's fine. Something happens that kind
this
of
table.
resets everything, and then society kind of starts up.
So do you
again.
think that's similar to like you know in Brazil they have that LiDAR that they've gone and they found those cities that are buried?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that just a different or maybe the same time?
I think it could be the same time and then different like variations that we experience. So if you're this huge empire that existed, and a lot of these like ancient structures had all these like spikes on the top of their buildings, and they were all built with stone. So think about like the things that we're living in today. If we had like a huge earthquake, tsunami, whatever, right? It's really, really popular right now in the news is California. California, if you've seen those videos today or yesterday, like
Oh, the earthquakes
some of
and
those,
stuff.
yeah, California, some of it's right now breaking apart and like into the ocean. So if the San Andreas fault rips, sends waves everywhere, like cell phones, stuff, tower, power, all that stuff goes out, and then society does.
So you're
what?
saying like California slides into the ocean, just sends waves over to
Send
Asia.
waves all the way around. It wipes out power.
You
our
think that'd be good
internet,
enough
phones.
to like get them back on the East Coast, go clear around the whole Earth?
I mean, you
I
saw
don't know.
the Rock movie. He was flying around in a helicopter.
I will
That seemed like a
say-
pretty big wave.
The original Superman movie, 1980.
Yeah.
Deep
Lex
impact.
Luthor. Deep Impact. That's true.
Waves go all the way up to the Colorado mountains, dude.
Yeah.
Well, some of these younger Dryas guys, they talk about 1,000-foot, 1,500-foot waves, and that a wave like that apparently they could climb like a 3,500 or 4,500-foot mountain because it's not just, you know, it's like a wave, but then when it hits that,
It's got all
it
the
gums
water
up.
behind it,
Like
yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
when you're at the beach, it's like 1,500 feet tall, but then as it hits something that stops the front end, the back end catches it and it can go over the
Continues
top.
to climb. Yeah. Well, I mean, think how destructive that would be, right? We have like all these records of Atlantis, and people have kind of said that they found like the old structures of Atlantis, and they were like super advanced and all that. Like how advanced we are, we don't write things in stone anymore. So if
It would be
the
gone.
internet disappears, like who's left to like tell the stories of us, right? So you think about this
That
like
is interesting to think about.
ancient empire.
You just download it from the internet.
Yeah, the internet doesn't exist, man.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
everything that we have, like all this stuff that like you think about it, like our history.
So Atlantis,
schools are going digital.
So Atlantis could have had the
everything's digital.
internet. We would never know.
Atlantis evolved to the point that
That's a good point.
their written language wasn't in stone anymore. So they evolved to some point where it was paper or internet,
tablets.
or even like this is a different theory, but that like they got into like crystals that you could store information.
Like Superman
on
again.
Crystals, yeah. So like if you knew how to then read that crystal, you could then like read their information, and maybe their information's there. We just like, don't know how
So
to read it.
do we think Atlantis and Tartaria were the same thing?
I think they're descendants of
Like connected
like
somehow.
the same, yeah, the same.
Is that
empire.
like is that on the same lines as like the island of Mu?
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another landmass that was in the Indian Ocean. I can't remember the name of it, but they could have like supposed that they got into like a battle or a war with Atlantis.
Yeah.
Is one theory, but
Well, you look at like all these ancient structures across the earth that we like know today. They have basically pyramids. You have
I'm just saying I'm just laughing because Mary was like, my glasses. Glasses, wearing her glasses
yeah,
again.
and he looks sick rocking.
He likes
Keep
them.
on, yeah.
Yeah,
looks
I like
good,
these.
dude.
I like
Hey Mary,
these.
you leave them down here.
Hey, we'll have
They're
to do
gonna get put on.
We'll have to do
Yeah.
a Who Wore It Better episode.
Yeah, maybe.
Fashion
Yeah,
show. We'll
next
have
time.
you like leaving
Me
the
versus
house.
Mary.
I'll put a picture of
Me
her
versus Mary, yeah.
Yeah, and then Mary leaving the house wearing.
And then we'll
them.
let everybody else vote on it and see what
Who
they
wore
say.
it better? So think of all like the pyramids in Egypt, pyramids in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what is Machu Picchu.
Oh,
like
yeah.
all these big buildings that were made of stone, Göbekli Tepe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they obviously built massive things, and our history says that it was either like built by slaves or with little like hand tools. Like just that by itself, like the precision at some of these like
I've always kind of scoffed at that
stones.
argument, like, oh, look how precise it is. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe they just needed it to be that precise or something. But I don't know. I always discounted it. But it makes more sense that they could make that type of thing because they had our something, equivalent of what our technology is, at least for building or cutting.
Yeah, but we don't build magnificent buildings like that anymore.
We don't, do we? I mean, Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building.
But is the Mar-a-Lago going to be around 1,000 years from now?
I don't know. What about skyscrapers? Skyscrapers would probably be around, right?
Yeah, and skyscrapers are a good example.
9/11, they're pretty flimsy.
That's right. Yeah, a little jet fuel in there, you melt that thing, comes straight down.
Speaking of which, if you haven't seen our 9/11 video,
Yeah,
it's
what's coming
Monday
up?
the 9th. 2 days from now, you should cue that up.
That's probably true.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
And then
a good
you
one.
could really understand what happened.
It's gonna be lit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler
But
alert.
that's a great example, right? We have skyscrapers, and all across the world, right? We have skyscrapers, right? It's
Okay.
all kind of connected.
So, like the pyramids could have been the skyscraper of the time.
but
And
that
even though
had-
they look different,
But that would
They
have
are
had
the
to
same.
mean that like these civilizations were all like talking and communicating with each other,
yeah,
and that's like not what history says.
they had like
They existed
Leibowitz and Kratz architecture firm.
He goes around.
And
And,
just, we only build one type of building: giant, tall pyramids.
yeah, with big old stones that don't worry about how we're gonna move them.
You've heard of the Tower of Babel? Beginner, amateur.
Yeah,
We crush that.
yeah. Ignore the fact that
Yeah.
God wiped it down.
Don't
but
worry, you'll get to know God and all His knowledge just by building this tower.
Yeah, we'll get you right up on
Yep.
his doorstep.
Yep. And then all of a sudden, mud flood.
Mud flood. Yeah. Well,
Frogs falling from the sky.
you look back at all of these buildings, right? And they're built just with like this beautiful architecture.
It is true, right? Like
And-
even the Chrysler building, they were talking about it, and they don't build like that anymore. But even the Chrysler building has like all this symbolism in it, and gargoyles, and
Yeah.
like it even has like the fender of the car, and then one of the gargoyles is the hood ornament.
Yeah.
And it's like it doesn't seem like they do that. Even though they do some things where they do like old, ancient satanic rituals and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean,
just-
just the precision of all these things that are built, right? So, supposedly, this ancient culture was able to pull energy from the earth. So, like, energy out of the ether.
Tartaria.
Tartaria, yeah. And they were able
Was
to
Tartaria
then...
Russia?
Tartaria kind of turned into Russia because, like, that's where
The
all
remnants
this started.
The
right?
remnants turned
So
into Russia.
if you look in a lot of the ancient, like, or even just like a lot of the Russian buildings, a lot of their like designs still have the remnants of those. Like, they were basically these towers. You have one of the pictures that
Which one are you looking for?
the one
well, I did see
that
a thing.
one that one that go back.
I did see a thing, Phil, while you're setting this up.
Yeah.
That they had that in Russia, they've started to excavate some of these buildings that are like, if you look at them, they just were like a full floor below the earth.
Yeah.
Like even beautiful palaces and stuff, and they've just have for hundreds of years, for some reason, just made the new first floor the second floor.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like different
Yeah,
buildings and
there's tons of
styles
things.
that they go back and like that's all through, New York down to San Francisco. Like there's all these old buildings
They're
that
buried
are
under the ground.
buried in the
I
ground.
saw a picture of that.
Well, Seattle has it. They have a whole there.
that was just recently in California because of
Yeah.
the earthquake or whatever. Like there was like a
That's what they say.
spot, and then you could see like buried structure
Yeah.
underneath like the street level of the other buildings up above it.
So hypothetically, right, we live if you're like a religious person, one of those nuts, then
probably believes in God.
Probably believes in God. Probably believes that God created this world for us, right?
Okay.
As a firmament above us.
Seems odd.
And we're on this plane that the waters above us and waters below us,
Right.
they just open up that little drain for a minute, and it just fills up, 50 feet,
Like a bathtub,
20 feet
you're
of
saying?
like mud and earth, and then that settles down, right? You can kind of wash everybody away and restart.
Is there like a plug on the bottom too?
I assume there has to be, yeah. You know how like you can pull gas out of like a hose?
It reminds me.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah.
So you can pull the water up from the bottom and then dump it out. And it's the same amount of water.
Like a siphon.
It's just where you put it. Yeah, siphon. That's what I was looking
It
for.
reminds me of, I bought a computer years ago, or maybe it was my friend who bought a computer. We bought a Gateway. And the cool thing about the Gateway computer, this was like a 486 guys. 486.
I don't know what that means.
I
I mean, you had like a byte of RAM or something. I can't remember. It was like a bit.
The dial-up was like a little bit faster.
But the reason that was cool about this is that you had what's called the Gateway Go Back. And that was their big selling feature. So if your computer froze or something or got some sort of virus on it, you just would push a button and it would just go back to the previous day automatically.
Oh, like the first invention of Apple's time machine or something that they call it, that saves every like hour.
So it's like the Gateway Go Back. So it's like maybe that's what God had. It was like, there's too many giants and dragons and people building towers up to heaven. He's like, Gateway, go back.
Well, look at the history of like the Bible and all these different stories, and they all start with like people experiencing life, and then the experiment, right, or the plan gets corrupted. So God wipes them out and then starts over. Now, this theory is like maybe the wiping out that we see is actually more of something that like the earth does every 2,200 years.
Where do you get this 2,200? I've heard that a few times, but Younger Dryas, from my understanding, was like 11,800 years, according to His Holiness Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
His
if you look at, we should add him to the board. If you look at the world
and Alex
clock
from Y-Files.
at in Prague, and it has that disc. I don't know. I don't think I sent you that photo, but it's. I'll pull it up so you guys can see it, and then.
I want to go to Eastern
Those
Europe
at
now
home
because it's
can
like Eastern
look
Europe
it up.
has all this like towers. They look like statues of the devil, free energy towers.
Yeah.
And like the Kazakhstan, which we're supposed to think that Kazakhstan is just like, what's the movie from there? Yes, we. He talks like that.
Borat?
Borat, yeah.
Yeah.
They were supposed to think that they're
make
just
you
like
think that they're, like,
backwards, or they
dummies,
marry their sisters and all this stuff, and that's what. But they're just laughing.
That's a good.
All the way to the bank, because actually you look at the place and it's like freaking futuristic. It's like the opening scene of Star Trek 4.
Oh, yeah. That's like
It's like
an example of somebody keeps the culture. Somebody keeps the secrets, right? You go back in like Egypt, and they had like the secret societies and the hidden keepers of the light, and not everybody was able to like learn these things.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
Somebody kept the knowledge and kept the secrets to then when the next iteration of the world happens.
The Knights Templar.
Right. So this is this clock in Prague.
Okay.
That we talked about on our episode a while ago. So if you took, I'm gonna go like 100 miles an hour.
What is it called? What is it called so people can look it up?
It's the Prague
Yeah, let me see it.
astronomical clock.
Prague astronomical.
Oh, no,
clock.
wrong camera. There we go. You can see that. Don't look at Fielding's messages from his wife, you jerks.
Yeah. Jeez. All right. So
that's pretty good.
if you look at this, the circle where you have like the sun and the moon that go around that kind of inner circle.
Yeah.
Right.
So that, if you Again, this is where I'm going like 100 miles an hour, so sorry, everybody.
Buckle up, everybody.
So if you look at the moon supposedly reflects the realm that we live on.
I've
And if
seen
you
that.
look
picture.
at the map of the like land on the moon, it's only like a quarter circle of what we know. And it lines up really well with like the United States, down to South America, Eastern Europe, all of that lines up on that map, but that's only a little bit in this circle. So this clock, as it rotates around, this thing moves and rotates kind of in like that on the outer edge.
It's like, it reminds me of like those spiral graphs as kids.
Yes.
You put the pen in, you're like...
So it's
Those
like
are
when
dope.
that shifts, right? And that's where we go back in time and we have like the flood of Noah.
Mm-hmm.
We have the destruction of the dinosaurs. We have all these huge events that take place, and the earth has like scars and things that show that something happened that wiped out life as we know it on the earth.
Yeah.
So let's say that
Like a
that's,
mass extinction event defined as 75% of all living things are gone. That's
Yeah.
mass extinction.
yeah.
Okay.
Could you imagine?
So if you're looking at like this empire that was thriving and this event took place, like the only ones who survived it last time were Noah and his children, because God told him to build an ark and he told them how to build it and put everybody up. So if you didn't get that message, right, you didn't get a ticket to ride, then you get wiped out. So if you're Noah and his family and there's finally land, and then you're gonna find a lot of these old buildings. So the theory is that a lot of these buildings that we found, that we just say like, oh yeah, old, slaves built it with a chisel, that these were actually like old world technologies that were found.
So it was built with a higher technology. There was a Noah's flood, say.
Mm-hmm.
Noah comes back, and it's pretty primitive now, and we're ascribing to them, we're attributing to them that they built it, but
Yeah.
really they just dug it out.
Really, they just found it. And that's where there's like some
Have you
people that
heard
are
of-
like the keyword that it was founded in 1905, and it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, because you found it in 1905.
Found
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Have you ever heard? So St. Petersburg. Are you familiar with why it's called St. Petersburg in Russia? So St. Petersburg was supposedly founded by Peter the Great, right?
Right.
And he built St. Petersburg.
Okay.
But it's not common theory or anything in Russia, but there's a predominant theory. Not predominant. I'm probably using the wrong word. Let's just say a popular theory
I like predominant.
that St. Petersburg actually was found and dug out by Peter the Great. Now,
Okay.
St. Petersburg is like the one you think of when you think of like Russia. It's like there's palaces with like steps and sculptures and stuff, and that there's apparently some evidence. It's probably a conspiracy theory there, and connect the dots. Russia.
It's a good plug.
Yeah, and
I like your Russian.
but that they found it and then he excavated it and
Yeah.
then moved into it.
Which
Which
doesn't
is-
sound like that implausible to me, because, I mean, all over the United States, especially when you get to like Europe and stuff like that, like there's all these buildings that have been buried, and then they're just like building buildings on top of buildings, and you
Yeah.
see that all the time.
Yeah.
Mary says it reminds her of Anastasia.
Yeah.
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 Well, and Anastasia would be about the time frame, right? If it's the
Yeah.
end of the 1800s, that's about the time, right? It's like
Yeah.
time to get rid of the last remnants of.
Yeah. So if you know that this event is going to happen, right, and you're able to build a bunker or get, have an airship that you can survive for however long it takes, the turning or whatever. There's a theory that a turning is every like 100 years, and you have these different like generations that play these different roles, right? And so it always happens. Every civilization, every empire that's great goes through this kind of cycle that then ends, right? So that's
Roman Empire
happens to everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you know it's coming to an end and you save all the information and you get yourself somewhere safe, as you then come out, you can kind of guide the direction and the way that the world now works moving forward. So there's a photo here that I sent you that has, it's a photo from like 18 something of New York. That one.
Okay.
And this photo shows like New York City, or sorry, San Francisco.
Okay.
And it's basically like destroyed.
Burned to the ground.
So they say that this was like burned to the ground
Great
because of
fire,
a fire,
yeah.
right? Now, if you look at the pictures and how it works, right? The road's fine. There seems to be a bunch of like poles that seem fine. Rock and like the brick buildings somehow fell down. Now, if you look at that photo that I sent you of the fires in California.
I do think timbers reinforced brick buildings back then.
Okay, so look at this photo now, and this was
the one
fires
that was
in California that
recent.
are supposedly like a direct energy weapon that can target and burn specific things.
Well, and the crazy thing is in that picture too. Look at like at the top right-hand corner of that picture.
Yeah.
It's like there's 2 houses there untouched.
Yeah. There's some houses that are untouched. There's some trees that seem to look like they're untouched. Like, and then there's just a house across the street that's fine.
I've always just assumed
But the
that's how
foundation
just the complexities of
gone.
fire.
And that's like
Yeah.
white ash. That means that's a hot fire.
Yeah. And it's very like targeted and precise. But there's trees in the middle of that block that's like totally fine.
God, that's weird.
So say you knew this is coming, and then you come out of the hole, right? You're safe. And you kind of know how society's going to react and how to build it, right? So then you're going to guide it so that you remain in power. So the Tartarians had a way to travel in airships, and they would tap into like free energy that they would pull from the ether. And a lot of these old world buildings had this ability using like mercury. I don't know the exact information, but it's like mercury and a bunch of other elements that they would have at the top of their like chapel and steeples, things like that. And the airships would connect, charge up, and they could go around the world. And say you don't want that to happen. Let's say you found a way to burn coal to get energy, and you don't want people traveling the world for free and, you know, being happy and growing spiritually. You want them to struggle, and you want them working under your foot from the day they're born, right? If you had all this information, or if you had somebody that was helping you and guiding you, you could take the things like ether and remove it from the periodic table. You could take airships and have this horrible event like the Hindenburg that would scare people away from
Okay, hold
everything.
on. You just skipped over a piece. Like, what do you mean? Explain to us what you mean, like, take ether from the periodic table. Why did you bring that up?
So Tartarian, there's ancient cultures and history that talk about the ether.
Mm-hmm.
In the school systems that we go through, that I can't think of when Rockefeller first had like his school system
again.
that he created.
I'm sure it was like, I think it was like 1920s.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that area.
So you take it and you can kind of rewrite history. And, you know, they say like the victor gets to rewrite history.
Yeah.
Well, if you take out these things and you control the information, then you can like teach whatever you want to. I mean, I won't say any of the things because it's like political, but think of what we say today that's like we just accept it, right? Even though we know that's not true, or that's impossible.
Like you have to pay federal income tax.
Yeah, this is insane. But these things that
Or
we
the,
know,
the squeeze.
Yeah.
Like the squeeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
but it's like you
It'll
can't
come.
say certain things, right?
Don't say that. Don't say it.
Yeah, don't do it.
It'll happen.
But they're like these things that
we'll get
we
banned.
just accept, right? And so you just say it long enough and repeat it long enough, and then that's just
Ends up
what we
becoming
say.
history.
Ends
I
up
wonder-
becoming history. Because look at, like, again, going 100 miles an hour, the library at Alexander that burned down. Well, if it didn't burn down, or all the information was taken out before it burned down, well, then who has that information? Just a very select few,
Probably Scientologists.
who then could teach it to the people that they
Tom
wanted
Cruise.
to teach
Tom
it
Cruise,
to, right?
yeah.
So then they're teaching it to the people that they want to teach it to. Well, how do you make sure that that person, like, is up to your standards, right? Maybe you have different, like, rituals to test them. Once they're in it enough, you then give them this information. So pretty soon you have this lineage of people where you have all this power and you have the knowledge and you say what's right and what's wrong. Like, yeah, I mean, over time you could build an empire and the whole world could be your empire.
It almost is like, well, how did Rockefeller go so all in on oil? Well, if someone had told him, hey, here's the Tartarian Empire, this is what we used to do, here's some blimps and blah, blah, blah. Just go all in on oil, trust us. Or, you know.
And it's
Because
like,
it is weird. He like dedicated his life to it. It didn't exist before, and all of a sudden, I mean, his company was so powerful. It makes Microsoft and all these other, they look like a joke comparatively.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that most people think that, like, the Rockefellers are some kind of conspiracy theory. And, like, don't understand, like, the power
that they have.
that they had. You know, going everything from oil to huge pull in the education system to pharmaceuticals. Like, he had his hand in so many different things.
Yeah.
Like
And,
control of it.
and billions of dollars back then when, you know...
When it was all printed on actual paper.
Yeah.
If you think about that, that's pretty insane.
Well, think
he's
about
really like Scrooge McDuck.
He literally was.
we look back at like these ancient civilizations, right? And we're the smartest ones.
Mm-hmm.
We're the ones that have the most knowledge. We look back at them like they were dumb. If those ancient civilizations, like, what do we want to do? Like the three of us, right? We want to spend time with our family.
Yeah.
Right.
We want to, like, be good husbands, be good dads. And a lot of our energy through the day, like, isn't spent at home with them.
True.
Like raising our kids or like helping our neighbors.
Grinding.
Like, it's spent grinding somewhere
Yeah.
to make enough money to, like, provide a decent life. But if all of that money that goes to pay for energy and things wasn't something that we focused on as a society or that we cared about, how much more fulfilling could our life be?
It sounds like you might need to vote for that. Who's the Asian guy with the universal basic income feeling? Like you're going,
Getting a little,
you're getting a little
off the
hippy
rails.
dippy over there.
Well, hey, I can't help it, but
One of
but
the-
I mean, but think about that, like, right? And we spend our
It's
lives
true.
and energy, you know, and then
It's
that's
just
when
a
you,
different kind of, I hate to say the word, slavery.
yeah.
I mean, I don't want to compare it to like picking cotton and getting beat and the other
Yeah,
form of slavery.
But no, that's like a,
However,
a really
it's like
ugly
we
version
volunteered.
of what it is.
It's like we volunteered to be slaves.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. Like they've
Now-
created this like prison.
It reminds me of the Tower of Babel story a little bit, but maybe instead of thinking of it bad, maybe what if societies can progress to a point where it's too easy and there is too much struggle? I served a mission for my church, and often the areas that would be the least receptive to God's word would be the areas that were the most comfortable. They had the most conveniences.
Yeah. Well, wasn't there a
Maybe
city?
this all is true, but there's
They haven't been broken down.
Wasn't there a city that got, like, brought up to heaven
yeah.
because they
Enoch.
were all so righteous?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you know, they just all figured it out. And it's like, hey, you figured out the harmony of like life and what we're here for. Like, this is great, right?
Yeah.
And then
I think the city of Enoch
Enoch.
is Atlantis, and that's why we haven't found it.
yeah, that's awesome. Awesome
Maybe
theory.
it's Tartaria.
Could be.
Of course, that's a country more.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Yeah.
But there's like, there's just so many different like cool things that like bridge off these different things that like we could go down like 50 million.
So
rabbit
Tartaria
holes.
though would be like, in a nutshell, from what I understand what you're saying, is like when we look at like the Chicago World's Fair, all those buildings.
Yes, that's a perfect example of like the new world, like paying homage to like the old world, and those people kind of, we're gonna destroy this stuff, right? And we're moving forward. We're saying goodbye to this great time.
They can look forward to the future without holding on to the past or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Kamala say?
Unburdened by
I
what
look
is.
to the future without being burdened by the past.
Yeah.
But I actually kind of half joke because I will say it is weird to me that wherever you're at in politics, now it's like Bush, Cheney, Clinton, Kamala, Biden. They're all on the same team now.
Yeah.
Is it Kamala or is it Kamala?
It's whatever you want to call it.
She's supposedly Indian.
She
right?
actually, well, my wife actually showed me something the other day. Her dad is Jamaican with African ancestors. And the picture, if you look at him, and you're like, yeah.
counts.
Well, and her mom's Indian. So
Oh, that's
so she's Indian and black, which would make, I mean, that's
Yeah,
That's valid.
I was going to say
Yeah.
that's
That's
both
not a
sides
great-
of it. So
that's not a great
but that's what,
argument.
but
that
everyone
a
was
lot of
calling her Kamala Harris for years, and now it's Kamala.
No, I don't think it's Kamala. I think I'm mispronouncing it because I hate her.
that could be.
No, I'm telling you, on the media they call her. Kamala now.
I think a lot of people that struggle with the name. I think it's Kamala. Kamala.
I've heard it both ways. So
Yeah,
you're
I don't
both
even
right.
know anymore. I know there's a wrong way to say it, and I don't know what it is. And also, then I watched a video where she says it like 3 different ways. So I'm like, you know what?
Just go with it.
Maybe she's cool like that. She's like, just don't call me late for dinner.
Yeah.
Or she's like, we're all just playing characters. So
You can call
whatever.
me.
What's my name again?
Yeah.
You can call me Daniel. You can
But
call
that's
me
not-
Danielle, or you can call me Daniel.
Yeah.
But that's my point. It's like, okay, so then
Psychos.
this
Yeah.
group that carries this baton of power, this knowledge of the ancient ways or whatever, the guardians of the knowledge, maybe they're evil, maybe they're good. We don't necessarily know, but maybe they would set up organizations that appear on the outside to be at odds with each other so that we could have a false choice
Yeah.
system that allows whoever it is that wins. You know, remember when Al Gore and Bush ran off against each other, and I was like so glad that Bush won. And now
Yeah.
I look back and I'm like, it wouldn't have made a difference
Wouldn't have made a difference.
at all.
When I get my kids to brush their teeth at night and they don't want to brush their teeth,
Yeah,
I say, you can brush it for 4 minutes or you can brush for 2 minutes.
yeah,
And he's like,
Look at you option closing your
brush
kids.
for 2
yeah.
minutes.
2 minutes way better.
Yeah.
Good.
But it's like, it's getting what I want,
Yeah,
but they have the illusion of choice.
yeah. And maybe Bush went slower on some of these policies than Gore would have. Oh my gosh.
Maybe. But also, if Gore got elected, would 9/11 happen?
Bruh.
Yeah.
Check out that 9/11 episode.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
telling you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Never forget, except for there was an article that all the youth now it's turned into a meme for them, so they don't.
I saw one that was
forgotten.
like pretty
Oh, God.
funny,
Toby Keith's dead.
and it was just like,
I mean, it's like
wow.
game over.
game
Yeah.
over. 9/11's over.
But
Sad bit.
but yeah, I think like right, and then you tie into like the beginning, like that Russian flag, right? That aggression, that like that horse is stepping on that dragon. Like, did they want to take the power? Like maybe the Tartarians had free energy, and maybe they loved their neighbors and they were nice to each other, and those on the other side didn't want that. They wanted control and power.
So he just came in
And so they eventually
sacked Tartaric.
took everything and then was like all this like free energy stuff, these airships that they have like all these record of. We're not going to have that. It's going to be a different world and we're going to control it. And it goes back to like Enki and Enlil, the Anunnaki, right? Brothers fighting. One wants mankind to be free, one wants them to be slaves. Jesus, Satan, like it's the same pattern that repeats over and over and over again because like and maybe that picture of San Francisco that's wiped out, maybe that's our San Francisco in the future somehow. Maybe we're just like a record player and we just skip around. And if you figure out how to not die and you can figure out like eternal life and you just play the chord back and back again.
There's that comedian that talks about that.
15th time running through so you know how everything's going to end.
There's that comedian that talks about it like with time travel. He's like, if I could go back in time to like 1920, I'd probably do worse than I do now.
Yeah, I can't think of what his name is, but he's like, I couldn't even prove I was from the future.
Yeah, I tell people, be like, well, what's in the future? And I'd be like, cell phones. They're like, what's a cell phone? And he's like,
I don't know. It works on satellites. What's a satellite?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something in the sky.
Something in the sky.
Yeah.
That'd be me. The new reset happens. They're like, all right, Travis, lead us to the future. And I'm like,
yeah.
grab a shovel, I guess.
Yep.
I don't know.
But that's like
We need to make cell phones.
the
How do we make
great
it?
reset. I think that's like what we're heading to, right? Like the QAnon people say the great reset, like nothing can stop what's coming. I think, yeah, like a cataclysm, something is coming that we can't stop. And
All right.
like everybody says, like it's a spiritual war of good and evil.
All right, chat. You guys could participate. I want to hear from these guys too. Like, what would be the one piece of knowledge that you would want to take after the next reset?
Oh, that's a good question.
Wet wipes.
Dang.
I'm skipping right.
He would take it back to the former glory of Tartaria immediately.
Those guys, they
Yeah.
probably had. I'm trying to think what Dallin said. Satin,
silk
silk wet
napkins.
wipes. Yeah,
and silk wet wipes.
Yeah.
And they're definitely in a warmer.
yeah. That
On the
doesn't
side of
use
the
Philly
toilet.
just
free. That uses
finishes
free
his-
energy.
Philly finishes his chicken nuggets and just grabs a warm satin
Yep.
wet wipe.
His mouth and fingers.
Yep.
Yeah, and for sure, it's a one-time use
It's
too.
a one-time use, bro.
Yeah.
Silk,
Yep.
trash.
Very eco-friendly.
Life
There's probably
is-
someone
life is
standing
good.
next to Fielding that's grabbing it and
Yeah.
folding it
Yeah.
used and
I'm
putting
gonna
it in the
wash that
trash.
through the cycle. Bring it back.
Yeah. Yep. Don't look me in the eyes.
Don't look at me.
Fielding would be one of the bad people.
I'd be a great damn.
Fielding would be the one that would actually become the Rockefeller.
I'd unfortunately become the Rockefellers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd make myself a
like
demigod.
I can
and
control you now.
Yeah.
Because I kind of
then I
know
can
what's
benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Daniel, what about you?
if I could take one thing,
One piece of knowledge that just would really play off well.
how okay when you get wiped out, how bad is it?
Well, let's just say that your house is buried in 10 feet of mud right now.
Yeah. I think everything that restarts from like Noah walking off the boat,
Yeah.
and maybe you can find some
You're
stone
camping.
structures,
You're probably camping, bro.
but you don't know how to
But
use
Salt
them.
Lake's over there, and you can go dig it out if you want. Or
Okay.
he's go in the mountains, Wolfman, not Wolfman, like freaking
I
Mountain
think
Man
if it's
style.
honestly like I would think I'd want all everything that's in my safe.
Guns. Okay.
I'd want to.
Very good.
Hey, if everyone else, if they have just shovels and rocks and sticks,
Immediately-
He's gonna take my satin
So far.
satin wipes.
Yeah, so when Fielding rises
just
to
wanna-
power, Danny would take it from him, hopefully for good.
No, I'd see him
Absolutely.
coming with guns, and I'd be like, I'm gonna make a partnership with that guy.
Yeah, let's partner up.
hey,
I invite him
do you
in
want
and
some of my
feed him
silk
well.
napkins?
Daniel's
Yeah.
like,
I'm
hold
like,
on,
"Ooh, that
this
actually
looks
sounds
pretty
kinda
good,
nice."
Fielding.
Yeah.
As I'm holding banana leaves, I'm like, yeah, come on over, Fielding.
Come on in.
This is a tougher question. I asked it to you guys with kind of a smug attitude, but as I think about it, it is a tough one. I would probably say something around hygiene as well, but maybe not satin wipes. Probably like water filtration.
You're lost.
So I'm very pragmatic in my thinking, and I'm like, if you had clean water, maybe agriculture, something with like how to, you know, impregnate cows in the right way.
Yeah.
I don't have that knowledge currently,
That
so
doesn't
that means I
seem like
probably need to go
something that
learn
would be
that.
that hard. You just need a boy cow and a girl cow.
Well, yeah, but the farmers are way more tech savvy than that, though. They don't just
Yeah.
throw them in a freaking pen and let them.
Well, how'd they do it like 100 years ago?
They were pretty savvy then too. They were doing all sorts of.
I've seen
They keep
Interstellar.
tracks of books and like
playing
these cows
Barry
go with these
Manilow
cows, and all of a sudden these cows are making like 6 gallons of milk every 12 hours.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I don't know.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Mine's not as cool.
Well, I like yours.
Silk nappies,
Yeah.
guns.
Yeah.
He wants to impregnate cows.
Yeah.
The knowledge. To
Hey,
impregnate.
Oh,
three of us
you know
together?
You know what actually though?
We'd be all
pretty
right.
amazing.
We'd be all right.
Gloves.
Gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good thinking.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
talking
talking about the decorative kind
You'd
too.
probably get to a point where you're like,
Driving gloves.
I don't even care anymore.
Driving gloves. Yeah.
For
Little
when-
leather ones.
I'm like, somebody invent cars again.
Yeah. I'm ready for when they do.
Yeah, buddy.
I got my driving gloves.
I gotta have a huge advantage over people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of like we joked at the beginning, though, like fashion cycles around again. Like
Yeah.
everything just cycles. We just repeat the cycles, right? We're in whatever
I do-
seal that we're in now.
I will say I do kind of love I love dystopian what's the zombie one? Even though it's so dumb, I can't get behind zombies. But like
Which zombie one?
the
Like
Walking
World
Dead.
War Z?
Walking Dead.
Oh,
Yeah.
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead, and they're like, like the 80th time someone was like walking through like a dry leaf forest, and you could just hear footsteps, and then a zombie would walk up to them out of nowhere and bite them. I'm like,
Come on.
go to the high school, grab a freaking football pads and a helmet, put it on, and then when they jump out and they bite the plastic, you're just like, anyway. So zombies.
Travis has thought this through.
Oh yeah, the zombie. I'm ready
Being
for the
in a
zombie
zombie
apocalypse,
apocalypse.
dude. I'm freaking ready. But all the dystopian stuff. And what was that one that was pretty cool? It was kind of like zombies fielding. I think you were the one that had us watch it, where the fungus got him.
Oh, that was the
That's
Amazon
a new one. It's a
um,
video game.
Yeah, I want to say Among Us, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
No.
no, that's it.
Among Us is the
Oh,
game.
no.
No, it's
All of Us.
Hold on.
Last of Us.
Last of Us.
Last of
So
Us.
Last of Us
Is
is
that
good,
the
but
one?
yeah.
Yeah, the fungus that gets
With
in
the
the
dude,
wheat.
the Hispanic dude that's like the most famous dude ever, and he's the Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. But anyway, my point is, I'm fascinated with like the future Tartaria reset,
Yeah.
and like and then you go to the cities and you got to do supply runs, and you're going to the store, and even the movie, the friggin' funny one with Woody Harrelson and stuff is so, and then Bill Murray is
Yeah,
Bill
that
Murray
zombie
in it.
one.
Yeah, I just am like it's so
Guns and
fascinating.
balls.
You're like, oh gosh, and they come in and says BM on his land, and it's like Bill Murray's house.
Yeah.
It's just so funny to me but we think about it all the time, and the movies are telling us the truth.
Yeah,
If so, are we looking at a future reset? Are we getting technologically advanced when Yang wins presidency and we have universal income and we can just like paint art and get along together?
Yeah.
Is that going to be the time when the Great Reset happens again? And then is it Satan or God that is resetting us?
That's the
Ooh, that's
you're
now
gonna
that-
you're
yeah.
gonna kick us off on another thing. But yeah, that's like right?
Yeah.
Are we being reset so that we struggle?
If you have
And once
no
we
needs,
get to the
you're less
point-
likely to pray.
Right. Yeah.
That's true.
So the pride cycle keeps us going. And then if that's the case, like is that the good God
Yeah.
or the bad God?
Yeah. Because they both describe themselves as the light
Yeah.
bringer, right? The
Yeah.
The
God.
light bearer. Yeah.
And so it's like it could be thought of as all perspective. I don't think it is, but why would a God have us struggle? Well, what if that is better for us? What if there is this life on Earth and you can have it easy here, or you can have it easy forever?
well, it's like that saying, right? Like, good times,
Bring about
bad times bring about strong men. Strong men bring about
good times.
Good times bring about weak men. Weak men bring about bad times. And it's like this. It's like the pride cycle.
This
Constant cycle of going through these different,
Does
times.
Philly want to change his answer?
No, I don't think he does. I doubt it.
Nah, not a chance. Taking
Double down.
Satins with me.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. I do. It is interesting. The Tartaria thing was really interesting when I knew we were going to talk about it, and you start looking it up because there's all this weird stuff, like different inscriptions on buildings, like the 1905 thing.
Yeah, the
How
time.
it's like every
Yeah, the
single
time
like
change.
all like almost every
another-
building that
yeah.
exists. That
Another
looks-
episode.
If
that
it
you guys
looks
need
like
to
it's
check
from
out.
Downton Abbey, then it was built in 1905.
Yeah.
It's like incredible.
And why did they all build them that way? And why were the buildings built with doors so massive?
Yeah,
Like-
huge doors, buried underneath the earth often.
Yeah. And then, like,
The doors were.
there's another theory of like all of those old sculptures on the buildings all have their heads cut off, and it's like, why did the heads look different? So they took the heads off, like the arms that were just as fragile, like all the arms are still there, but the heads were taken off the statues.
Yeah,
Is that also why those people in like? Maybe I shouldn't bring it up. This might be mildly PG-13, but does that go along the same lines as those statues like in Rome where, I don't know, like priests took off the man
Yeah.
parts and put on a leaf?
Yeah.
It's probably because back then they were giants.
He's like, there's no way it could be that big.
whoa, that's not real. No, honey, that's fake.
And then he's like, he tells his friends,
Go get me a leaf.
Go snap those off.
We're gonna cover that up.
This is ridiculous.
Just saying, it could be.
Yeah. It's like that's way above average.
Yeah.
Way above
I
average.
think that's-
Unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
I think that's the same energy of like, right? Keeping secrets.
Yeah. Small, you know what, energy.
Yeah. Small egos.
That's the way I like it.
Yeah. Well,
Tartaria is crazy. This one, like even like the Chicago World Fairs,
Yeah.
that whole thing. When we talked about that previously, I'm still like blown away by that. And like and then the images of California, like San Francisco, with no one
Yeah.
present in the photos.
And like
stuff. It's
supposedly
crazy.
like the roads that are in the photograph, like, I know we're never gonna stop. The roads like have no like track damage from the carts, but yet they wheeled all these huge marble blocks in from somewhere. But the
Well-
roads just look all like whitewashed with mud.
or
And
yeah,
that
or they,
beautiful
or they,
building.
yeah, they have it, or why would you have such a beautiful building, but then they just leave the muddy dirt around it?
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
just walking.
yeah, that doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
It's
And
like,
why does another thing you can do at home is you can take AI and you can tell it to write you a story from the 1800s where a building is built and then catches fire and then is rebuilt 60 years later and make it 4 paragraphs. And if you tell the AI to do that, read the answer and then compare that to all the different Wikipedia things about all the old courthouses, all the old like church
What?
cathedrals and things.
Are you serious?
It looks like our history is just written by AI.
bro,
That's nuts. I'm gonna try
dude,
that.
I've already been thinking about that. I'm like,
So if you had a computer and you had AI and the internet doesn't go down for you because you have
You're on a ship.
a wireless thing, right?
Yeah.
And then no one else has the internet.
Yeah.
And you have, I don't know, maybe like a white stone that has a history of everything on it. How could you not like
you have like a
control-
Urim and Thummim.
Yeah. How could you not control like everything? Like, I don't know.
Because there's a ship orbiting Earth that's...
Yeah. That's
That's
black.
brought us here.
That's been there since
Dude, there's a book. Oh my gosh, I'll have to...
shout
I'll
out
have to put
Kevin.
this-
I watched that the Y Files on the Black Knight satellite.
Oh, the Black Knight satellite?
Yeah. And it even tells you where it's from, like where they're from.
Oh, really?
And that the satellite's been here for like 800,000 years or something like that, because where it says it's from didn't line up, but if you reverse like the Earth's Polaris back, then it matches up perfect.
No way. So there's this fiction book. I'll have to figure out what it is. This sci-fi book, really cool. David Weber wrote it, but I don't remember the name of it. And these humans are in a huge spaceship and they're racing away from these like insect-like aliens that are going to kill them.
Reptilians.
And these insect-like aliens, they don't really think, but they're attracted to technology. So they can sense technology and they go there and they basically, like a Borg, they take it, right? So these humans have created faster than light travel, which the insects don't have because they've never needed it. They never invented it because it's a hive mind and we'll get there. We'll get there when we get there. So, but then you're like, oh, this is a cool story. And about literally like 15 chapters in, you're like, they come to this planet, and they park their ship, and then they like, we have to hide, but they're on their way. They'll be here in like 15,000 years.
Yeah.
So they take all the technology away from everybody and put them on the planet, and the planet is Earth. And the ship was the moon.
Yeah.
And so now they have to live with no technology, and the religion becomes anti-technology and all this.
Yeah.
So they can keep hiding longer and longer. But there's these little Easter eggs out there anyway. I won't give it away. But kind of an interesting thought it's like, all right, maybe we do have to reset every once in a while because we get to a point where something could detect us, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there is a reason to reset.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks for tuning in, you guys. To connect the dots, we're pumped to finally get together. We enjoy this probably more than I think most of you guys do, but hopefully you enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's real fun for us.
Yeah, we love having you guys here.
I have to admit, I was one of the first 50 subscribers to our channel.
That's not bad.
So,
I think I may have been the first.
okay.
Yeah, at least.
First 50.
Yeah, I think I was like 48. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Maybe we can get you a shirt or something.
Someday that'll be a
48
big
subscriber.
deal. Yeah.
Speaking of merch, go to our website, conthedot.com. You can get access to all of our social media, information about us. There's even like ways
It's good
to
for
chat. All
it's good
kinds
for
of stuff.
9/11 gifts.
Yeah, exactly.
9/11
Yeah,
gifts.
yeah. We'll have to push out some
Yeah.
fun 9/11 stuff. But also, make sure you follow us on our social media. Like, subscribe, share this video. It helps us a ton. We want to do this all the time and keep bringing you guys fun content, fun thoughts. And always, as always, don't forget, you're a champion. We love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to have more fun content coming your guys' way. Big shout out to Fielding and Travis for being here, and for Fielding being all-knowing, all things Tartaria, and Travis for his driver gloves.
Just remember, Jeff didn't kill himself.
Yeah.
I won't say the whole word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
well,
get us banned, right?
He's a white hat, I think. So
I hope so.
it'll all come out to light. I think we're heading towards something amazing next year.
Yeah. We might have to put those videos behind the paywall because they're not on YouTube anymore.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, you guys. Appreciate you, and we'll see you guys next time.
We've developed several ciphers.
Was murdered in Dallas, Texas. He was shot by a sniper hiding in a building